What if the most powerful flip is not the one you close quickly, but the one that builds your lineage? What if the purpose of flipping isn't for fast cash, but for future stability? And what if the profit from one project could fund a lifetime of wealth and healing and collective evolution? This episode is about flipping differently, flipping consciously, flipping for legacy and not just leverage. Great awakening, magnificent people. I am Jazmian D. I want to welcome you to the Generational Rhodium. It is the media and healing branch of HWPLP. HWPLP stands for Health, Wealth, Prosperity, Love, Peace. We are a movement-driven investment firm dedicated to building generational wealth through healing, collective economics, real estate, and venture capital. Please take a moment to comment, like, share, and subscribe, and join our mailing list by visiting our website at hwplp.com so you can stay connected to the movement. This episode is a continuation of our newsletter series, Flipping Mindsets, Not Just Property. Now let's get into this magnificence. Traditional flipping models fail our communities because they prioritize speed and not stability. They have this hustle approach to flipping, where it's a quick cash, high stress, pressure-driven decisions, and short-term thinking. And so the flipping becomes a survival, not a strategy. And study shows that 67% of first-time flippers spend their profits within 12 months. This was a National Realty data report from 2022. And only 14% of reinvestments are consistent, and less than 8% build long-term portfolios. So fast money is rarely forever money. Then we have an extraction model where traditional flips often remove cultural anchors, affordable housing, and multigenerational stability. Profits leave the neighborhoods faster than they even arrive, and nothing roots, nothing remains. And then we have the misalignment with legacy. The fast flip mindset produces revenue, but no roots. Profit, but no power. Transactions, but no transformation. The key energetic truth here is that you cannot build legacy at the speed of panic. We have to reframe how we move in this mindset of flipping. We should flip for legacy, not for leverage. When the purpose shifts from how much can I make to how much can we grow, flipping becomes sacred stewardship. And then the energetics of the flip has to be different. It has to be a conscious flip that is healed, where distressed properties, distressed neighborhoods, distressed belief systems change and flip. And every renovation is a rise in vibration. And we also have to have that long arch of wealth that has to change. Flip profits should flow into future investments, community co-ownerships, and multi-generational revenues, not lifestyle inflations and not short-term consumptions. Legacy-based language needs to shift to not flip to get money, but flip to create capacity, flip to build capital vehicles, flip to strengthen the collective. That's how it shifts. That's how it changes. Now, let me tell you a story. One that is very similar to the HWPLP story and what they will experience as members. There was a man named Jordan. He flipped his first property. It was a small triplex in a struggling neighborhood. There was a peeling paint. There was an old wiring, all of the issues that you see in a home that you're looking to flip quickly. It was a building that most investors had overlooked and didn't even think about because it looked like it would be more work than needed. to get the returns that they were looking for. But Jordan wasn't flipping for speed. He was flipping for impact. He hired local contractors. He used neighborhood vendors. He rehabbed without displacement. When the flip sold, he made a strong profit. Most people stopped at this place. They stop here. After they make their profit, they're good. But Jordan wasn't good because Jordan was an active investor with HWPLP. And so this was just a portion of his story. So he continued to place his profits in different places, in 3 different places. He actually did. He put one in his collective investments with HWPLP in the investment pool. And every year he received dividends from that. And within 2 years, the equity had multiplied. And within 5 years, the ownership across the portfolio had actually doubled. His money didn't just return, it multiplied. And then he also put it into his spiritual equity. He worked on his healing work, his wealth psychology, his leadership development, and his sovereignty training. He learned to regulate fear and expand identity and lead with purpose and with his intuition. And he stopped flipping for survival and he started investing for sovereignty. And then his last, he had a sacred reserve. This is a portion that is similar to HWPLP and how we protect ourselves with our SEB, spiritual economic body, trust. And it protects, it compounds, and it also is untouchable. It funds the future land, emergency reserves, youth development, community support. And 20 years later, Jordan had passed the baton of his sacred revenue to his growing family. It outlived him, outperformed him, outlasted his flip, and it started it all. So his great-great-grandchildren will benefit from the one flip that started it all. Let's take a moment and do some breath work and visualization. A brief breath work, just of box 4. Only do it 2 times, and then we'll get into the visualization. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Now keeping your eyes closed, imagine the profit from your first flip sitting in your hands, not just as cash, but as potential. Now see it divided into 3 golden streams, flowing into community, stabilizing neighborhoods, creating owners, building collective wealth. One flowing into your spirit, expanding your mind, raising your vibration, activating your leadership. One flowing into your lineage, quietly compounding, silently protecting, eternally growing. Now see the 3rd, rippling. The benefits rippling for generations 10, 20, 30. See your descendants standing on the foundation you created, the legacy, the stewardship. This is sacred economics. Thank you. Now, these are some ways that you can ascend in your flipping. You can do collective wealth growth, where a portion of every flip fuels new acquisitions, community development, and ownership pathways and wealth circles. Your flips become expansion in engines. Expansions engines, not extractive events. Then you can have spiritual equity, where wealth collapses when the mind cannot hold it. So you invest in healing, emotional regulation, financial mastery, and sovereignty education. And your inner world must rise with your outer world. And then you have your sacred revenue, where your flip profits flow into your secured SEB that's protected, your capital body. And it supports long-term community projects, emergency stabilization, generational continuity, private sovereignty, and wealth. Not leaks. It doesn't leak out. It stays in place, in a system, in a structure that is intentional. This matters because a flip becomes a community engine, a sovereign funding source, and a legacy elevator, not a quick cash transaction. Now I'll share with you some tools that you can utilize to activate this ability to flip for generations. The legacy allocation plan, where you choose a percentage that you want to allocate to your collective wealth, your spiritual equity, and your sacred reserve. And you decide how much flows into those different areas from any flows of profits that you have. Number 2, you have a stewardship checklist. Before you acquire a property, you must start to ask yourself before you make steps. Have intentional steps in your movements. Say, does this uplift the community? Does this create ownership in the community? Are pathways to ownership? Or does this align with the higher purpose? If ever your answer is no, this is not it for you. Move along. It's okay, because something else is for you. Next, you can have a legacy ledger. And this is where you track your profits. You don't just track your profits, you track your impacts. And here you'll record, who did it benefit? How did it benefit them? What changed? What healed? What grew? And let every flip create your story of impact. And then you can have a sacred reserve commitment. Always secure the bag. Contribute to long-term trust so that you always have something to support you. Because legacy is not built later, it is built now. Every small amount, every single amount is important, because when you think, you should say, I am building for generations, not for right now. Flipping is not the goal. Legacy is. Profit is not the purpose. Continuity is. A flip is not an end, it's a beginning. Now let's close with the HWPLP affirmation. Heal your mind, body, and soul. Build the wealth that is your birthright. Live in full prosperity, love unconditionally, and live in a state of peace. And so it is, and so I am, and so it be. I want to thank you so very much for joining me for this Generational Rhodium. I am Jazmian D with HWPLP, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until next time, peace, love, and light. Thank you.